Hello everybody in the land of the internet, Jason Rivers here, and welcome to this Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG box opening of the Spellcaster Command Structure Deck, 1st edition. Yep, it's finally arrived in the post, so let's just get this open. And I've also ordered the Lost Sanctuary Structure Deck as well, so I'll do a separate video on that. Let's pop these over there. Yeah, there it is, 1st edition, right there. So yeah, I won't waste any time with this, so let's get it open. I'll just take a few seconds. Let's open this up and see what you get inside. Right, you get the official rulebook. You get a strategy, I assume some kind of strategy sheet. Tells you what the main reason of the deck is and how to control it, and other various cards you can add to it. You get a playmat. So, in fact, let's just lay this out. Pretty awesome playmat with Endymion, Master Magician, on the front. And of course, you get the deck. So I'm just going to pop these cards into their appropriate sleeves, and then I shall review them. Okay, now that the cards are in their appropriate sleeves, I'll go through them one section at a time, beginning with monsters, then spells, then traps. The first and main card of the deck is Endymion, the Master Magician, and he is the spine of the deck. He can be summoned to the field by removing 6 spell counters from the magical citadel of Endymion, and when you do, add 1 spell card from your graveyard to your hand, and once per turn you can discard 1 spell card to destroy 1 card on the field. And he comes in an ultra rare form, so that's pretty cool. The rest of the cards in this deck are all in commons. Magical Exemplar. This card is used for summoning other monsters to the fields. I'll just put in a side note here that these are all based on my experiences of playing the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's arcade game on the Xbox 360. So, yeah, as I said before, I'm not an expert, so please give me your criticisms and comments in the comment section below. Crystal Seer. Flip effect monster. You can pick 2 cards from the top of your deck, select one of those cards and add it to your hand, and place the other card on the bottom of your deck. So this card can be good and bad. You might draw 2 good cards, so that's a bit unfortunate, having to send one straight to the bottom of your deck. Skilled Dark Magician. Every time a spell card is activated, you can place 1 spell counter on this card for a maximum of 3. And then you contribute this card to summon 1 Dark Magician from your graveyard, deck, or hand. So yeah, this card is pretty cool, but it's unfortunate because I don't have a Dark Magician. So, Meiku, the Master of Barriers. You contribute this card to destroy 1 face-up continuous spell or continuous trap card on the field. Mythical Beast Cerberus. Every time a spell card is activated, you can place 1 spell counter on this card, and this card gains 500 attack for each spell counter placed on it. When he attacks, or is attacked, you have to remove all spell counters from it at the end of the battle phase. So I would use this card and build up as many spell counters as I can on it, and then like try and finish off the opponent in one go. But that might be a stupid idea, I don't know. Blast Magician. Each time a spell card is activated, place 1 spell counter on this card. You can remove any number of spell counters from this card to destroy one face-up monster on the field with attack equal to or less than 700 times the number of counters that you've removed. Always good for taking out the big monsters if you have a lot of spell cards to activate. Royal Magical Library. Each time a spell card is activated, place one spell counter on this card for a maximum of 3. You can remove 3 spell counters from this card to draw 1 card. So it has a pretty good defense as well. So yeah, this card's basically used for just drawing more cards. There we go. The Dark Red Enchanter. Every time, well, when it's summoned to the field, you have to place 2 spell counters on it. And then every time a spell card is activated, you can place 1 spell counter on it. He gains 300 attack for each spell counter on the card. And you can remove 2 spell counters from this card to make your opponent discard 1 random card. So that's pretty cool. Always great building up more attack power. Summon a Monk. This card is basically what it says on the tin, really. Well, what it says on the card. You can. This card cannot be tributed, but when he is normal summoned, you can then change him to defense position. And once per turn, you can discard 1 spell card to special summon 1 level 4 monster from your deck, but the summoned monster can't attack. But as it's always good for building up a defense. Hannibal Necromancer. This card is used for destroying trap cards on the field. Defender, the Magical Knight. There we go. This card is used for protecting your monsters with his own spell counters. He can basically stop them from being destroyed. Magical Plant Mandragola. When this card is flip summoned, you can place 1 spell counter on each face-up card that you can place a spell counter on. So, always good if you have a lot of cards on the field. Breaker. I assume everyone knows what this does. As soon as you summon to the field, you place 1 spell counter on him. He gains 300 attack for every spell counter on him, but he can only have 1 maximum. So he starts off with 1900 attack. But you can remove the spell counter to destroy 1 spell counter or 1 trap card on the field. Magical Marionette. This card is brilliant for destroying other monsters on the field if you have a lot of spell counters on it. In this deck you get 2 Apprentice Magicians, whereas the one that I played on the 360, you can only have the 1. Well, in the deck you can have as many as you want, but you can only get 1 in the content that you download. But this card can place a spell counter on any card that can have a counter placed on it, and when it's sent to the graveyard you can summon a level 2 or lower monster in face down defense position. So always good for setting up your flip effect monsters. Disenchanter. Just get that in focus. If it will. Will it? I don't know. No. Disenchanter. Once per turn you can remove 1 spell counter from anywhere on the field to return 1 face-up spell card to the owner's hand. So in fact that's actually quite good at returning stuff like Swords of Revealing Light, so you can reactivate it in case you haven't got a big line of defense. And the Old Vindictive Magician, which is basically a Spellcaster version of the Man-Eater Bug. As soon as you flip it, destroy one monster that your opponent controls. And that's all the monsters in this deck. Just go through the spell cards now. Twister. Pay 500 life points to destroy 1 face-up spell or trap card. Magical Dimension. Activate only when you control a Spellcaster monster. You contribute 1 monster and special summon 1 Spellcaster monster from your hand. Then you can destroy 1 monster on the field. So always good for getting out your powerful monsters and destroying your opponent's monsters at the same time. Magical Blast. This card's only useful if you have a lot of Spellcasters on the field. When you activate it, it inflicts 200 damage to your opponent for every Spellcaster monster on the field. If this card is in your graveyard, you can add it to your hand instead of drawing your normal card in your draw phase. Book of Moon, always great for setting up for emergencies in case you need to flip your own monsters down, all your opponent's monsters down. Enemy Controller, another good emergency card for changing the defense position of monsters, and or you can tribute one monster of your own and select one face-up monster that your opponent controls and take control of it until the end of the phase. Terraforming, this card is used for bringing out this card to the field. The Magical Citadel of Endymion, which is basically your second spine of the deck. Each time a spell card is activated, you can place one spell counter on this card. When a card with spell counters is destroyed, place its spell counters on this card. Once per turn, if you would activate a card's effect by removing a spell counter from this card you control, you can remove spell counters from this card instead. If this card would be destroyed, you can remove one spell counter from this card instead. So, for example, if you had if your opponent activated a Heavy Storm or MST, you could just remove one spell counter to ignore the effect of it. But I did have to check the rules about if other field cards could destroy it when they're activated, and they can. Which is why you would need, if I can find it, this card, Field Barrier. Field cards cannot be destroyed. Also, a new field card cannot be activated. So yeah, good card to have. Mage Power, an equipped card. The equipped monster gains 500 attack and defense for every spell and trap card that you control. Swords of Revealing Light, everyone knows what that does. Fissure, destroy one face-up monster that your opponent controls that has the lowest attack. Giant Trunade, return all spell and trap cards on the field to their owner's hands. Yeah, always good for if you don't have a line of defense but you have the swords activated to stop your opponent from attacking. You can use this to return swords to your hand and then reactivate it to stall for more time. Malevolent Nuzzler, this equipped monster gains 700 attack, and when it's sent to the graveyard you can pay 500 life points to place it at the top of your deck. Mist Body, the equipped monster cannot be destroyed. Magicians Unite, when you have two Spellcaster monsters on the field, select one of them, and that monster gains 3000 attack until the end of the turn. But it's only that one specific monster that can attack. And Spell Power Grasp, place one spell counter on the field that can have a spell counter placed on, and then you can add another Spell Power Grasp from your deck to your hand. You can only use this card once per turn. I know that a lot of people who tend to play Spellcaster decks, well, Spell Counter decks, tend to have about 3 of these in their deck, 2 or 3 of these cards. Yeah. So that's all the spell cards done. And there's only a few traps left, I think. Yeah, there's only 5 traps. Magical Cylinder. Negate the attack of one monster that your opponent controls and inflict damage to your opponent equal to its attack. Tower of Babel, or Babel. Each time a spell card is activated, place one spell counter on this card. When the 4th spell counter is placed on this card, destroy the card and inflict 3000 damage to the player that activated the spell card at that time. So yeah, always good for pretty much disabling the use of spell cards. I mean, you could activate 3 spell cards and then wait for the next person to place a spell counter on it. In this deck you get 2 Pitch Black Power Stones. In the deck that I bought on the 5Ds Xbox 360 game, you only get 1, but in this deck you get 2, so it's pretty cool. After activation, place 3 spell counters on this card. During each of your turns, you can remove. Sorry, a bit tongue-tied today. You can move one spell counter from this card to another face-up card that you can place a spell counter on, and when there are no spell counters on this card, then destroy it. And finally, the last card of the deck. Magician's Circle. Activate only when a spellcaster monster declares an attack. Each player summons one spellcaster monster with 2000 or less attack from their deck to face-up attack position on the field. I tend to use this card to summon Magical Marionette as soon as possible, because it's just an awesome card for getting rid of monsters as quickly as possible. So yeah, that is the deck. I know that a lot of people tend to add like a lot of synchro monsters to this deck, like Arcanite Magician and stuff like that. But I'm not really great at sorting out any deck profiles or anything like that. So if you could comment in the comment section below and give any strategies on what to take away from this deck and what to add, I would be very grateful. And yeah, that is the video. Please like, comment and subscribe for more videos. My next one, I will be opening the 5D's Lost Sanctuary deck. So please stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video.